Imagine this. You're 70 years old, maybe older. You've lived a full life. You've seen decades of change, raised a family, built memories. But now a question lingers in your mind. How much longer do I really have? It might sound like a heavy question, but what if science could give you an answer? Not by looking at your medical records or doing expensive scans, not by reading your palm or flipping tarot cards, but by something as simple as how fast you walk. Yes, walking speed. It might not sound important, but it's one of the most powerful, scientifically proven predictors of how long you'll live after 70. And that's just the beginning. In this video series, we're going to uncover 7 signs, backed by real scientific research, that quietly predict your life expectancy after 70. Some of them might shock you. Others may already be part of your daily routine, but every single one of them has been studied, peer-reviewed, and verified by experts across the world. This is the first part of the journey, and we begin with the silent signal your body gives you every single day. Your walking speed is so simple. You get up, you move around the house, maybe you take a stroll to the park or go out for groceries. But what if I told you that the speed at which you walk can predict how many more years you'll live? More accurately than your blood pressure, your age, or even your medical history? It sounds unbelievable. But this isn't science fiction. It's science fact. In 2011, a massive study was published in the Journal of the American Medical Association. Researchers analyzed data from over 34,000 adults, aged 65 and older, across multiple long-term studies. They tracked their health, habits, and, yes, their walking speed. And what they found was remarkable. Those who walked faster, at a pace of about 1 meter per second or more, had a significantly higher chance of living for another 10 years. That's about 2.2 miles per hour. A brisk, steady pace. Now here's where it gets really interesting. This wasn't just because fast walkers were more active. The researchers adjusted for factors like age, sex, body mass, and existing health conditions. Even with all of that accounted for, walking speed still stood out as one of the strongest predictors of longevity. Why? Because walking speed reflects so much more than just your legs. It's like a live performance of your entire body's health. Your heart has to be strong enough to pump blood efficiently. Your lungs need to deliver oxygen effectively. Your muscles and bones have to be coordinated. Your brain needs to signal and balance your steps correctly. When all these systems are working well together, your walking speed reflects that. It's a full-body checkup in motion. Now let's imagine the opposite. Someone who walks slowly, and not just from fatigue or a recent injury, but consistently slow, often faces an increased risk of disability, cognitive decline, and even early mortality. In fact, the study showed that people with walking speeds below 0.6 meters per second, that's just 1.3 miles per hour, had significantly lower survival rates over the next 5 to 10 years. It's important to say here, walking slower doesn't guarantee that your health is poor, and walking fast doesn't guarantee that you'll live to 100. But the trend across thousands of people is too strong to ignore. Think about it. You don't need a lab. You don't need a fancy test. You just need a flat surface, a stopwatch, and about 4 meters of space. Walk naturally, not rushed, not slowed down, just your normal pace. If you're covering 1 meter per second, or about 3.3 feet per second, you're in good shape. If it's less, that's not a reason to panic, but it may be a reason to take a closer look at your strength, your balance, or your cardiovascular health. The beautiful part is this is something you can improve. In fact, many studies have shown that simple walking exercises, light resistance training, and even balance-focused activities like Tai Chi or yoga can help improve walking speed and stability in people over 70. So you're not stuck with the speed you have today. Your body is capable of building strength even in your 70s, 80s, or beyond. Let me tell you a short story. There was a man in his mid-70s. Let's call him Mr. Kapoor. He wasn't sick, but he'd started feeling slow. His kids noticed that he was taking longer to get out of a chair, slower to walk from the car to the front door. He shrugged it off as just old age. Then he visited his doctor for a routine checkup, And the doctor did something unusual. He asked him to walk across the room at his usual pace while being timed. The doctor raised his eyebrow and said, "Let's talk about your heart health." Turns out Mr. Kapoor's walking speed had dropped significantly since his last visit, a silent signal that his body was under stress. It led to mortism. They say strength fades with age. But what if I told you that one specific kind of strength, something as simple as how tightly you can squeeze your hand, could quietly predict how long you might live? That your grip strength isn't just about muscles, but a silent reflection of your entire body's health, resilience, and even your brain function? That's not a guess. It's backed by hard science. Grip strength may seem minor. Most people don't think about it unless they're opening a tight jar or shaking someone's hand. But researchers have discovered that it's one of the most accurate predictors of longevity in older adults, especially after the age of 70. In fact, in some hospitals around the world, measuring grip strength has quietly become a part of routine health assessments for the elderly. It's fast, cheap, and incredibly revealing. Let's take a moment to understand why. Your grip strength is more than just the muscles in your hand. It's connected to your forearm, your shoulder, your nervous system, your circulation, your coordination. And if you're losing strength there, it often means you're losing it everywhere else too. The muscles that support your grip are among the first to weaken with age-related decline. That's why researchers see grip strength as a proxy, a window into the body's overall health and biological age. So what does the science actually say? One of the largest studies on grip strength and mortality was conducted in the United Kingdom, using data from over 500,000 adults as part of the UK Biobank project. Researchers found that weaker grip strength was linked to a higher risk of early death, not just from natural causes, but from specific diseases. In fact, every 5-kilogram drop in grip strength was associated with a 16% increase in the risk of death from heart disease, a 17% increase from cancer, and an almost 20% increase in respiratory-related deaths. That's staggering, and this wasn't just in elderly patients. This effect was observed across all age groups, but the link grew even stronger after age 70. In Japan, where aging populations have become a national focus, geriatric clinics routinely test grip strength alongside blood pressure. If someone's grip strength drops below a certain threshold, it often triggers more in-depth testing, because it's not just about physical strength. Weaker grip has also been tied to a faster decline in cognitive function, mobility limitations, and risk of disability. In other words, your hands might be whispering secrets about your heart, your lungs, your brain, and even your independence. Now, maybe you're wondering, how do I know if my grip strength is good or not? For men over 70, a healthy grip strength is generally above 30 kilograms. For women, it's above 20. Anything lower can suggest frailty, and the decline is often silent. Many people don't realize their grip is weakening until they start dropping objects more often or struggling with daily tasks. Buttoning a shirt, opening a bottle, twisting a doorknob. But the truth is, your grip doesn't just decline overnight. It weakens over time, slowly, year by year. And that's why early awareness matters. Let me share a real-life story. There was an elderly woman named Shireen, 74 years old. She was vibrant, mentally sharp, and proud to live on her own. One day, her daughter noticed she was fumbling more with her utensils at dinner. Nothing major, just little slips. A few months later, she had trouble twisting open her water bottle. Again, small things. But her daughter insisted she visit a doctor. The physician measured her grip strength. It had dropped far below the normal range. That one number led to deeper tests. The result? Early-stage Parkinson's disease, caught early enough to begin treatment and lifestyle changes. Her story is not unique. Grip strength decline is often one of the first outward signs of something deeper going wrong inside the body, and yet it's almost always overlooked. Now the good news, unlike genetics, you can improve your grip strength. It's trainable. You don't need a gym membership or heavy lifting. Simple tools like hand grippers, resistance bands, or even squeezing a tennis ball can build strength over time. But even more powerful than that, building grip strength encourages you to use your arms, shoulders, and posture muscles. This helps prevent falls, improves balance, and gives your nervous system a workout. Exercises like light dumbbell carries, wall push-ups, or even just hanging from a sturdy bar for a few seconds a day can make a difference. In fact, a study from the Journal of Aging and Health showed that older adults who engaged in regular grip training exercises experienced not just physical improvements, but better mental health scores and sleep quality too. That's the beautiful thing about grip strength. It's not just about muscles. It's a gateway. It encourages movement. Movement sparks brain activity. Brain activity triggers hormonal balance. And all of that they say loneliness is the silent killer. But when it comes to people over the age of 70, that phrase isn't just poetic, it's scientific. What if I told you that something as simple as having a few good friends, or regular conversations, or even sharing a meal with someone once a week could increase your chances of living longer and living better? That your health after 70 isn't just about your heart, your muscles, or your diet, but about the people you speak to, the bonds you keep, and the love you give and receive. As we age, our social circles tend to shrink. Children move away, spouses pass on, work fades into retirement, and for many seniors, days become quieter, routines become smaller, and the walls start to close in. But behind those quiet routines, something serious is happening in the body. Because social disconnection, the absence of meaningful human connection, triggers biological stress responses that are every bit as damaging as smoking, obesity, or inactivity. In fact, one Harvard study found that people with strong social relationships at age 50 were significantly more likely to be healthy and happy at age 80. The quality of those relationships mattered more than cholesterol levels, blood pressure, or income. It turns out our need for connection doesn't fade with age. It actually becomes more vital. Another major review, involving over 300,000 participants across the US and Europe, found that people with weaker social ties had a 50% higher risk of dying earlier than those with solid relationships. To put that in perspective, that's the same increased risk you'd get from smoking 15 cigarettes a day. And this isn't just about emotional comfort, it's about biology. When you have meaningful interactions, a phone call, a visit, a laugh, your brain releases oxytocin, the bonding hormone. This hormone reduces stress, lowers blood pressure, and strengthens the immune system. But when you feel alone, truly emotionally alone, your body shifts into a chronic stress state. Cortisol levels rise, inflammation increases, sleep worsens, and slowly, silently, your health begins to unravel. Loneliness affects the brain too. Seniors who experience long periods of isolation are more likely to develop dementia. In fact, the risk can go up by as much as 60%. That's not just from lack of stimulation. It's from the way the brain chemically responds to social deprivation. You see, the human mind is wired to connect. From the moment we're born to the moment we leave this world, we are designed to belong, to share, to be seen, to be heard. And when that stops, something within us begins to shut down. But there's hope, always. Let me tell you about a man named Yusuf. He retired at 68 after working as a postman his entire life. For the first few months, he enjoyed the rest. He watched TV, tended his garden, drank his tea in silence. But over time, something changed. He stopped calling his friends. He left his house less. Days started to blur into each other. He wasn't sick, but he wasn't himself. His daughter noticed on a visit. His clothes were untidy. He seemed forgetful, distracted, and distant. She convinced him to join a senior reading group at the local library just once a week. The change was slow but real. Week after week, he read poetry with strangers who became friends. He laughed, he listened. His mind sharpened, his posture lifted, his memory improved. He said something remarkable 6 months later. "I don't feel old anymore. I feel involved." That's the power of connection. You don't need hundreds of friends. You don't need daily parties or events. What you need is real human interaction. Even if it's just a neighbor, a grandchild, a book club, a prayer group, or a regular video call with someone who listens. That simple act of being known, of being cared for, activates the very systems in your body that keep you alive. Social interaction stimulates neural pathways in the brain that protect memory and executive function. It engages the limbic system, helping regulate mood and emotional health, and it gives people a sense of purpose, which in itself has been linked to better health outcomes in older adults. One study from Rush University Medical Center found that seniors with a strong sense of purpose had a 30% lower risk of developing Alzheimer's disease. Another study from Japan followed over 1,500 elderly people and found that those who had active social lives were 43% less likely to die over the next decade compared to those who were socially isolated. This isn't just theory. These are real numbers, real lives, real outcomes. And here's the part we often overlook. It doesn't have to be complicated. Connection can happen in the smallest moments. Saying good morning to the person next door, asking the shopkeeper how their day was, having tea with someone from your mosque or temple, volunteering once a week, teaching your grandchild how to cook. These moments aren't just nice. Sometimes the most important signs about your health aren't the ones you feel, but the ones you ignore. As we reach 70 and beyond, we tend to focus on what we can see: gray hair, tired legs, stiff joints. But the signs that truly predict how long you'll live, many of them live quietly inside your body, whispering truths, not shouting them. We've already explored walking speed, grip strength, and the power of connection. But there are 4 more signs you need to know. Signs that don't just predict how long you'll live, but how well you'll live. And the first one is beating right now in your chest. Your resting heart rate, the number of times your heart beats per minute when you're at complete rest, may be one of the simplest, most powerful indicators of your lifespan. Think of it this way. Your heart is a pump that never stops. It beats over 100,000 times a day. And like any machine, the harder it has to work when it's resting, the more wear and tear it experiences over time. That's why a lower resting heart rate is typically linked with better cardiovascular fitness and longer life. Most doctors agree that a healthy resting heart rate for older adults ranges between 60 and 80 beats per minute, but the sweet spot is often between 50 and 70. Studies have shown that seniors with a resting heart rate above 80 have a significantly higher risk of death from all causes. And those under 60, they tend to live longer, have stronger hearts, and lower rates of stroke. The famous Framingham Heart Study, one of the longest-running health studies in the world, found that people with a resting heart rate of 75 or higher were twice as likely to die within the next 2 decades than those with rates below 65. It's not just about numbers. It's about what your heart is saying when you're not doing anything. If your resting heart rate is high, it could mean your heart is under constant pressure, that your nervous system is overstimulated, or that your body is trying to compensate for something else, like stress, poor sleep, lack of exercise, or underlying disease. But here's the good news. You can improve it. You don't need to run marathons. Light daily walking, deep breathing, stretching, or even meditation can lower your resting heart rate over time. Every beat you save is energy your heart doesn't have to spend. Energy that can stretch your life further. That brings us to the next sign: sleep. Not just how long you sleep, but how well. Most people think poor sleep is just a normal part of aging, something to be tolerated. But science says otherwise. Quality sleep is like nightly maintenance for your brain, your body, and your immune system. It's when your body repairs cells, balances hormones, and clears toxins from your brain, literally cleaning house while you rest. Studies from institutions like Harvard Medical School and Johns Hopkins have shown that seniors who consistently sleep between 7 to 8 hours a night, without frequent disruptions, live longer, get sick less often, and show slower cognitive decline. But those who sleep too little or too much are at higher risk of early death. Yes, even oversleeping can be a danger sign, and it's not just about hours, it's about depth. Fragmented sleep, where you wake up often or never enter deep REM cycles, is strongly linked with memory loss, cardiovascular disease, depression, and immune system weakness. One large study found that people with chronic sleep problems had a 45% higher risk of heart attack, regardless of other risk factors. If you wake up tired every morning, Struggle to fall asleep at night or rely heavily on sleep medication? Your body might be trying to tell you something. Fixing your sleep isn't always easy, but it is possible. It starts with consistency, going to bed and waking up at the same time, avoiding screens before bed, keeping your room cool and dark, taking a short walk during the day to reset your internal clock. Even short afternoon naps, no longer than 20 minutes, can boost energy without disrupting your rhythm. The difference between surviving and thriving after 70 may begin with how you sleep, and it's never too late to improve. Now we turn to a sign that few people pay attention to, until it's too late: your weight. Or more specifically, how stable your weight remains over time. Many people assume that weight loss in older age is a good thing, but that's not always true. Sudden, unexplained weight loss after 70 is one of the strongest predictors of early death. Why? Because it often signals underlying problems: muscle loss, malnutrition, cancer, or organ dysfunction. On the flip side, rapid weight gain is equally dangerous, increasing the risk of diabetes, heart disease, and mobility issues. The key is balance, stability. Studies have found that seniors who maintain a relatively stable weight, without big drops or spikes, live longer and remain more independent. In a large study of over 3,000 older adults, those